Welcome to West Country Wanderings and welcome to What in My Railway series. Back in the early part of the summer I did a video looking at the Tramway in South Gloucestershire. And yes, you guessed it, this is part 2. So I'm back here at the Avon Valley Railway, so it's not a heritage one today, but I'll start here, going to make my way down to Willsbridge Mill. So yeah, this is a lost railway walk. I think it's number 15. I think that's right, I haven't checked, but yeah, something like that. If it's wrong, I'll put that in, but you probably know that from the thumbnail and the titles at the start of the video there. I'm walking along the railway track bed. This is formerly the line that went from Mangotsfield across to Bath, Green Park. And it's part of our story, our tramway, or Dramway as it's known in this part of South Gloucestershire. Sorry, it's gone into a little darkness there. It's over the side of there, as it runs through Siston Common. And there was two tramways, the Avon and Gloucestershire, which we've explored a bit before. South from here, we followed it south from Bitton until it joined the River Avon in the first episode. And today I'm going up along here, and then I'm turning left down to what's known as Willsbridge Mill, which is the headquarters of the Avon Wildlife Trust. Supposed to be a beautiful place, so we'll have a look around there, and there should be a tunnel around there, so we can see if we can find the old tramway tunnel in that area. I'm going to return back to Bitton Station, grab a coffee, and I make my way up round to the Siston area, out towards Mangotsfield, that kind of area, to do a second part of the walk and tour around there to see what we can pick up at the tramway in that area. As I do so, I'll tell you a little bit more about this interesting tramway here in South Gloucestershire. That was an unexpected little delight. I hadn't expected to see any trains today. It's a midweek day today. It's not a running day for the Avon Valley Railway, but the volunteers that work on the AV are still hard at work back there at Bitton site, and they've just probably come down from the halt at the far end of the track there, the Oldbury halt there, or Oldland, shall I say, Oldland Common halt, and they're working on the track. So that's the volunteers that are on that. I think it was an 08 shunter there, and it was tooting. It was going across the level crossing gates there for the cycle path. So we're turning off the Bristol and Bath cycle path here, about 3/4 mile north of Bitton Station, down this way, which should take us right down into Willsbridge. So now in a housing estate, and we're making our way down to Willsbridge, and this is the route of the Tramway. Of course, the line of it is lost because, well, obviously you can see all the housing development here, but I'm walking as closely as I can along the former tramway route. And it also says that this is the community forest path, County of Avon, because although we're in South Gloucestershire, it was formerly the County of Avon when we had all those border changes in the early part of the 1970s, but we're going to follow it down to Willsbridge Mill. Interesting collection of signs here. So on the left where it says Old Railway and Dramway footpath, that's of course where we've just come from, and we're going down the right towards Willsbridge Mill, also following the Tramway footpath. But over here, interestingly, is a road that's now closed. Don't know how long that's been closed, and now it is just also a footpath, or used as a footpath and cycleway parallel to the Tramway. So immediately after turning right at that last finger post you just saw, we have this quarry face here and a deep cutting, which is where the Tramway itself once ran. Now this bit here is of real interest. So this is the route of our Tramway looking back. So I have the quarry behind me. So if we spin round 180 degrees, so I'm, let's say, literally standing on the tramway route at the moment, we see this. So that's our quarry face there, and you'll notice something odd. So if you see across there, you can see the quarried face, but to the left here, which is literally on the line of the Tramway, it has been filled in with bricks there, limestone bricks. And if you pan down, you'll see there's an arch lower down. And that arch denotes where there was a tunnel here at Willsbridge. But it gets more exciting than that. Of course, the tunnel has been completely infilled here, but have a look. What's in front of the tunnel? Now, I wouldn't mind betting that that was a cart which would have been used to transport the coal on the tramway along the rails here. And there, closer up, you can see that arch, which is the top part of the tunnel. If you're thinking that's quite low to the ground, don't forget here the whole ground has been completely backfilled, so this would have been probably a good 2 foot lower than where the ground is now. And they've just left that cart there rusting away, buried in the ground. Well, I can honestly say that's not something I had expected to find today. That's brilliant. It's actually quite an impressive quarry face in its own right. I don't know if the Dramway would have been used, well, probably would, I guess, to not only transport the coal, as we've said, into the cities of Bristol and Bath along the River Avon from the collieries around Coalpit Heath, which we might have a look at later, but probably also the limestone that was quarried here as well. Wow. Now the cutting here is quite steep at this side. Now we've got trees that have grown up, but it looks like originally when the Dramway was constructed, they did that brickwork there to support the embankment on the footpath and the road above. And then we are just looking back at the quarry face and the entrance to the tunnel here at Willsbridge. Now this is also interesting here. There's a footpath there that goes down into the bottom of the valley where the stream and the mill is. But you have this as well. And I'm wondering if it was built up here to level off the surface where the Dramway would have once been. It's quite a drop down there to the river below from where we are. And you can see why it was engineered to be thus here at Willsbridge. Well, the Tramway is down there. I've just actually met a couple of subscribers, so it was really good to meet you. Thanks very much for that. I just got a tip about this. This is an inclined plane. So our Tramway is down there, down to Willsbridge Mill, where there's another tunnel on that, which we saw the first part of it at the beginning of the last episode here on the Tramway. But I'm walking up an inclined plane now. And at the top of this inclined plane was a quarry called, not quarry, a colliery even, called California Colliery. I'm not sure if there's any evidence of that left. The subscribers I just spoke to said that there was, or there is, a California road named after where the coal. So the coal would have come down this inclined plane, down onto the Dramway then, and then been moved along a crest, then through those tunnels and down to the River Avon and into both Bristol and Bath. So we'll just see what's at the top of this before we go on to Willsbridge Mill. So this is looking back down the inclined plane now. And before it gets to the route of the Dramway, which is to the right towards the River Avon, there is a small stream which powered the mill at Willsbridge Mill. And there is a large bridge with a tiny little arch on it. So most of it is wall, but it's an extremely impressive structure, as indeed are the walls here, even the side of the Tramway, or this inclined plane section of it. Absolutely enormous bit of construction to have built this here. And the suburb of Bristol called Oldland is just behind me. So now at the top of the inclined plane leading to the Dramway, and as you can see it's now a housing estate, so literally where that red car and house would have been part of California Quarry, or colliery even, I keep getting that wrong. I will see if I can insert an OS map showing the coal workings in this area. I must admit I didn't realise that the coalfield penetrated so far in towards Bristol. I knew it did around a Kingswood area, because Kingswood is very much a coal mining town there in South Gloucestershire. But yeah, so this is Oldland, and you can see the wall as it continues all the way along there. Very impressive. Just been lowered there for the fencing of the housing, and then that's where the inclined plane starts its quite steep descent down to the Tramway. Two great signs there. So our Tramway is down the bottom, just over the bridge, and if we turn right, it takes us into Cat's Cliff Wood and into the quarry. So the wall here is a very impressive structure indeed. It's got a couple of buttresses there as well. And there is the stream running down below. The other thing to note is that the walls of the side of the inclined plane splay out here. So this would have been the loading and unloading points. So that's on the right there. And there is our other wall right over there. So it's more than double its width at this point. And that's the Dramway there. You can just see a brown sign saying Willsbridge Mill. Now this is a very pleasant spot indeed. A real green and nature haven just on the edge of the city of Bristol. Well, we're also not that far from Bath here as well. That's just looking on the other side of the buttress that's supporting this bridge and structure over the valley here at Willsbridge. So we're now on the route of the Tramway again, which takes us to the tunnel entrance, which we saw at the beginning of episode 1 of the Tramway, but there is a fence, so we won't be able to get up close to that. Now we have an interesting feature here, not the sign, which though it is very, very good, it's made after cast iron, I believe, but it's this here, which has a rail that's curved around. Obviously it wouldn't have been originally curved around, but the purpose of it is to highlight these limestone sets here, which is of course how the rails would have been fixed on our tramway. The only thing is that here it's nailed in with a iron nail there, but if you remember from episode 1, they actually used nails or pins made of oak originally. I think it was probably changed at a later date, but originally they were made of oak. But this is a really good feature to see here at Willsbridge. Now unfortunately the next section of the tramway is closed off. My camera lens is poking through a green metal fence at the moment, but you can see the extent of the deepness of the cutting that they had to cut through, and that leads up to a tunnel. They have some more carvings here in stone and mosaic, not of the Dramway this time, but of the nature that thrives in the Willsbridge Valley here. So this is a really cool bench here. Read what it says. It says the Dramway Tunnel under small cliffed meadow, which is the entrance to it I just showed you with that cutting there. And then it says Coal Tramway to the Fries factory. That's the chocolate factory, of course. Air raid shelter. So there was an air raid shelter here, a mushroom farm, and the bat roost. I'm not sure the mushroom farm is or was inside the tunnel, because that's a wonderful place for growing mushrooms in a tunnel. And so this is the meadow here, and it's the tunnel goes right underneath this meadow, but like it says there, it's private property. It's not part of the Avon Wildlife Trust here at Willsbridge. Well, this is a very pleasant spot here, and we have this pond here, which is at the moment is absolutely full of 1, dragonflies, and 2, water lilies out in flower. Wonderful. Where's Monet to paint it when you need him? Really like the mosaic of this lizard here on the top of this stone seat. That's absolutely wonderful. And so we've now arrived at Willsbridge Mill, which is headquarters of Avon Wildlife Trust, and also a pleasant cafe here as well, which I might check out in a bit. It's very nice. So now come on to the main road between Willsbridge, heading back down towards Siston Station again, just to see, curiosity's got the better of me, so see if we can see the other portal of that tunnel where we saw the cutting from through the fence, but I don't know. So I've just been walking along the road towards Siston through Willsbridge, and I've picked up the line of the Tramway again, so this is the other side of the tunnel. So remember we saw, well, we didn't see the front entrance of the tunnel, the cutting when we were in or near Willsbridge Mill on the wood there. And we couldn't get any further because there was a green metal fence. Well, I'm walking back in another direction now towards the lower portal. So this is the tunnel portal, which is closer to the River Avon. And I say this is picking up where we started our first video, though we didn't walk this far. So I'm just going to walk along here. I haven't been careful because it says there's lots of fallen trees and branches, so we'll see how we go. Perseverance and looking at maps and trekking back sometimes pays off. Here's the other entrance of that tunnel, the Willsbridge Tunnel. I think it's protected like that because of bats, like we've come across many times before when we've looked at railway tunnels, or this case a tramway tunnel. Let's just have a bit of a closer look though. And so this is the southern portal of Willsbridge Tunnel here. The green bit is a bit deceiving because that's not the full width of the tunnel. You can actually make out the original limestone brick archwork just going around there. It's a wonderful structure. There is a sign in there with a grill. Obviously that's for letting the bats in and out of the tunnel. It says danger, falling masonry. Well, that's probably no great surprise that there's falling masonry inside. But yes, this is the southern portal of Willsbridge Tunnel here on the Dramway. Well, that was great to find that. I'm going to make my way back to my car now, grab a sandwich, a cup of tea, and then I'm going to drive on a bit further, probably around Siston, Mangotsfield area, that kind of area, because this is where it connected up with the other Dramway, which headed into Bristol, should I say, which later became the railway, which ran south from Westerly Junction. Then we're going to catch up with it in Mangotsfield, where the line was then later converted, or the Dramway at that part was later converted into the Midland route into Bristol from Mangotsfield, because that one closed in the 1960s like these things did. Then they then used the GWR route from Westerly via what is now Bristol Parkway and then into Bristol that way. But yeah, so it went in on that way. There is a tunnel there, Staple Hill Tunnel, which was changed from being the Dramway tunnel into a proper railway tunnel. I'm not going to show that today because I want to do that as a separate Lost Railway walk. All of it's from Bristol to Bath at some point, or probably do it in two sections. So yeah, so we're going to see what we can see around the Siston area, see what that looks like. So I've now come around to the village of Warmley. I think that's village, suburb, not sure. It's about 5 miles from the city centre of Bristol either way. Very pleasant place. Behind me here is a signal box, because this is the track bed of the Midland Railway line to Bath and Bristol from Mangotsfield. So Mangotsfield is about a mile or two just to the north of here. That back down there is towards Bitton, and on further from that would have been Bath Green Park. So yeah, we have a wonderful signal box here. Obviously this has nothing to do with the Dramway, but I thought it's a railway series one, you're going to be interested in this. And it says on the sign that this signal box is opened most Saturdays between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m, which is great. And it was listed, so I think it's grade 1, maybe grade 2 listed, but it's in wonderful condition now, absolutely fantastic. And that was listed in 1981. I'm not sure when it was preserved though. But that's not all that's here that's railway related, apart from the Dramway, which I'll bring you back to in a minute. On the other side of the road we have, so this here is the main London road, goes between Bristol onto Chippenham. So it's to the present day 420, so there would have been a level crossing here. The main Midland Railway line, in the direction of Bristol, going straight over the road. Well, when the gates would have been closed. And this is Warmley Railway Station. So there's the cycle track in the direction towards Bristol. And the platform there is now tea room. The Warmley waiting room with a wonderful garden where you can get refreshments. What a wonderful sight that is. And that's looking back along the track bed there. You can see the cyclists whizzing over the main London road. What was the level crossing there with the signal box opposite. And I think this would have been the station house here on the left, perhaps for the crossing gatekeeper. Wonderfully maintained community flower beds here as well. But of course, this cycle track isn't our Dramway. Where is our Dramway? Well, the other side of the garden is over there. Through those green gates takes us back onto the Dramway. So behind the tea garden we have been reunited with our Dramway. We're going to follow it along here for a bit, because this will take us on to Siston Common, where I do believe, so there's a shutter going down on the bike hire place, I think. I do believe there is a couple of bridges. Well, we'll go and have a look anyway. So I've just come off the tramway just to have a look at the common. It's actually huge. It's a huge common. So this is Siston Common. That over there, the other side of it, is actually Warmley Forest community space. So it's a huge like community woodland over there. So that looks interesting to place perhaps for another video here on West Country Wanderings. And it goes on there. But our hedge here denotes the line of the Dramway. Now, interestingly, at this point, it's not actually marked as being the Dramway on the footpath signs, although it is following the Dramway as far as I can make out. It is part of that Forest Park community route, and I think that does a big loop around most of Bristol. Can't remember how many miles it is. Probably too long. Well, certainly not going to be doing it today, that's for sure, but we may pick up with it on another time here on West Country Wanderings. But yeah, it kind of goes through this way. Yeah, so it's the community forest path. We are marked, and it goes through this woodland, but the line of the route is a bit hard to follow here because you have got other paths which crisscross the common. And some of these trees, well, a lot of these trees, of course, would not have been here when the Dramway was in existence. For one thing, they probably would have cut them down for pit props, that sort of thing. You can make out old buildings here, though. There's like brick in the path here. I can just see that. It actually looks like pottery there. And I think here we've got some fencing, so that gives us a line, although part of it would have been for the Midland Railway. So yeah, so we've got some railway fencing here. So I think this is our line. It's a little bit broken there. So this is the line of our Dramway walk. So I'm just going to follow it through here and see if we can come up to a bridge or two. We've actually seen very few limestone set blocks where the rails would have been set into following our Dramway today, but this is certainly one here. Aha, and here's the same wall, the same type of wall that we had when we were back down there at Willsbridge near Bitton. So you can tell that we're definitely on the right route. Slight bit of a cutting, and I think just out the corner of my eye I've just seen something exciting. Well, this is an absolutely fantastic sight, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? A wonderful bridge intact right over our Dramway here in South Gloucestershire, just outside the heart of the village of Warmley. What a wonderful sight. Let's just have a bit of a closer look. So I think this is just carrying a minor lane up there, which looks probably just, well, it goes on to Siston Common and probably onto a farm. So it never would have carried much traffic. I certainly can't hear any traffic going over it at the moment. It's incredibly well built. You can see the edge of the arch there with that same familiar style of limestone bricks and blocks that we saw back at Willsbridge. And the red ochre there denotes iron deposits, of course. Not far from here is the village of Iron Acton, famous for its iron deposits. On this side here, note the rails. Not sure if they came from the Dramway or from the parallel railway line, the Midland Railway line. Yeah, that really is quite a find here on our Tramway here in South Gloucestershire. So we're now looking at the top of the bridge, and just note the part of the old gate and railings there, which forms the boundary of someone's driveway. Let's just have a look from the top, and that's looking back down onto the Tramway. Right down there, that's where we were just a moment ago. And just for completeness, that's the other side. Wonderful. Siston Common is actually a very, very nice area. It's very open spaces here, just a few, dotted with a few large detached houses. Well, I found this lovely seat here on Siston Common. Brings us to the end of our adventures here on the Dramway in South Gloucestershire for today. But having a look at the guidebook that I've got for the Tramway, well, it's actually a leaflet that was on the former Avon County Councils, or published by them some while ago, in 1986, I think. There is a lot more to see, and I was hoping to get up to Coalpit Heath area, but I think we're going to leave that to another time. We'll have a bigger explore in that area then, because there just seems to be so much in this area to uncover and discover, and I hope to bring that to you right here on West Country Wanderings. Thank you very much for watching the channel today and the video. Hope to see you again soon. All the best for now. Cheers. Goodbye.